My sister loved to tell tall tales. Her wild imagination is part of the reason I love her so much. But you learn to take everything with a grain of salt when you're around someone who swears up and down that she was trapped in the house of a long-dead plumber, or that she didn't do well on a test because she was too busy exploring a secret government tunnel to study. I want to be clear that it's not that she's a compulsive liar or anything. I'd say that these tales are more meant to entertain, if that makes sense. They come off as more of a troll than anything. That being said, when she mentioned that there was the voice of a man coming from the shower drain, I was more than skeptical. You still have to take a shower. Dude is just going to have to deal with your filth coming down the drain, I said with a chuckle. But the way she looked at me was different from how she typically responded when I challenged her tales. She just shook her head and yelled, "I'm serious." Confused, I asked her what she was talking about, and suddenly, tears began to form in her eyes. There were definitely times where she stuck to her stories, but never with such conviction. Either she had gotten really good at acting, or there was actually something wrong. I promised to go inspect the drain if she'd calm down, and with mixed emotions, I headed towards the bathroom. I'd be lying if I said my heart wasn't stressed to hell as I made my way inside. The silence of our own bathroom had become eerie. For a moment, even my own reflection seemed foreign. I tentatively walked towards the drain and put an ear to it. Nothing. I turned my face towards the hole and eked out a simple, "Hello?" The tension of the moment was enough to make me think I was going to have a damn heart attack. But as the seconds passed, I grew less and less scared. After a while of absolutely nothing, I pulled my ear back from the drain and called for my sister. Fully expecting her to come in making fun of me for believing her, I immediately scolded her for wasting my time, and she began arguing back about how she wasn't lying. Rolling my eyes, I told her that if she really needed an excuse not to use our bathroom, then she should just use Mom and Dad's shower. "It's not an excuse," she shot back. "There's something in that freaking drain." I just shook my head, telling her that there was literally nothing in there, and she stormed off in anger. Annoyed, I went back into our shower and did one final check just to be absolutely sure there was nothing there. As expected, all I got was silence. Dumbfounded that I even entertained such a ridiculous story for as long as I did, I figured that I might as well shower. I got ready, hopped inside, and I shit you not, it didn't even take a full minute for a raspy voice to make its way through the drain after I turned the water on. "Get away from me," it shouted. I stood in silence. My heart was thumping through my chest. Every part of me wanted to move, but I was frozen in place. "This is my fucking home," it said again. Suddenly, the water stopped draining. I looked down in horror as long, bony fingers began to emerge from the drain. Soon, a hand followed, and then an arm. Somehow, he was squeezing himself through that tiny hole as if his body had no skeleton. With lightning quickness, he grabbed my ankle and tried yanking me towards the drain. I only managed to keep my balance by grabbing onto the shower rack and kicking away his hand. Broken from my stupor, I bolted out of the bathroom screaming for my parents. I heard the bathroom door slam behind me just as they came around the corner. In a panic, I tried to tell my dad what happened, but all I could get out was, "Man, bathroom," before having a mini panic attack. My parents spent the next 5 minutes trying to calm me down, and even then, by the time I stopped panicking, all I could do was point towards the door. Confused, my dad grabbed a metal bat from a nearby closet. Coming back to the bathroom door, he readied his weapon, determined to get whoever the hell it was out of our house. But as he opened the door, his jaw and the bat dropped to the floor. The man was sitting in the fetal position, upside down on the bathroom ceiling. He was a meek, emaciated man, He had dirty, yellowing skin, dangling strands of black hair. His head had to be twice the size of a normal human being's, and it hung forward with skin that somehow managed to defy gravity, giving him a low-hanging scowl. His small, crusted-over eyes darted to my dad, and in his weak voice he calmly said, "Get out of my home." "What the fuck?" my dad whispered in fear. "Everybody out." My mom took one peek inside the bathroom and without saying a word ran to get my sister before taking us outside. My dad followed soon after and made us all get into the family car. Within 10 minutes, we were at the police station. I overheard my dad telling my mom that he got a few videos of the man and that he'd be right out. I remember waiting in the car for at least half an hour before my dad came back and without saying a word drove us to the nearest hotel. Things happened very quickly from there. Before we knew it, we were moved into a new apartment in a new state. Most of our stuff that we couldn't pay to have shipped to us was lost to that house. For years, my dad never told me what happened that prompted such a quick move. He wouldn't even acknowledge that the police had been by the house to investigate. I remember being so upset that we never could go back to our house. I questioned why we simply couldn't have the guy arrested and go back to being happy. But at the same time, whatever that guy was, he obviously wasn't a person that you can just move. And I knew that deep down, I wanted to go home. And the thought of him taking that from us with no resistance upset me. Last week, we went on a fishing trip together. It had been a decade since I moved out, and I figured now was the time to ask. I could see the reluctance on his face, but he told me that there wasn't any use in hiding what happened anymore. From what he told me, he pounded the table for an officer to look at the footage he captured and for someone to investigate. Apparently, they took one look at the evidence and promptly deleted it. He was about to go absolutely ballistic when they stopped him and coldly stated, "We've known about him. He lives there, and there's nothing you can do. I'm sorry." From there, they offered him some money to move and to never speak about it to anyone. Honestly, it was a lot to process in the moment. I had so many questions, but I knew they'd never be answered. I just nodded and went back to fishing. To this day, I haven't even been around that house. I refuse to even go back to that city. Unsurprisingly, I also have a thing about spending too much time in the shower. I just can't. I'm not sure if there's really a lesson here, but if there's anything I can say, it's that sometimes where you live isn't really your space.